那就很高兴大家来参加我们这次就是6月份的分享会。那这一次我们就是前半场是先邀请到最近才在台湾开这个分店的 Another Indie， 这是一个从就是中国开始的一个 Indie Publisher。对，然后现场应该有一些人认识他们，对，那就是他们来介绍一下，就是说他们就是整个公司的目前的现况，然后他们目前在做一些业务的介绍这样子。请大家掌声鼓励，就是 Another Indie。
Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. First things first. We are Another Indie. I'll talk more about this in a moment. And what I want to talk to you today is about dealing with publishers. So I am a video games publisher, and therefore I know how to deal with us. And we're not always easy. So what I want to do today is just kind of like, you are all young and cute, and this may be your first time to deal with a publisher. And I want to make sure that you have the understanding, the tools, and the knowledge that you need when entering into those discussions and negotiations. Okay? So I'll keep it light, I'll keep it interesting and fun. I'm sorry, my Chinese is very bad. 我中文说得非常不好. So it will be in English. But if you have any questions or anything, I have many wonderful friends here who will help you out understanding later. Okay? And at the end of the talk, there will be lots of time for questions. And if you have a question in Chinese, we have people who can translate, and then they can translate me, so we can all talk no matter what language we speak, okay?
Okay.
Wonderful. Excellent. So, moving forward. Okay, so who am I? You probably haven't heard of us. We are a very, very, very small indie game publisher. We've got 4 team leaders, which is Adria Carresco, who is our CEO, who's that lovely man in the top left. There's me, next to him with the sunglasses, looking wonderful. And then we have our China operations manager, Eric Lin, who's based in Xiamen, which is where we were based until very recently. And we have this boy here, Vlad, who is our anime character come to life.
Great.
So, Another Indie, we work predominantly with Asian indie games. And what we do is we help them achieve worldwide success. So we've got games from China, we've got games from the Philippines, from Indonesia, and hopefully soon games from Taiwan. We recently moved 50% of our office to Taiwan, so we are now Taiwan Ren. And we're very, very, very excited to be here. This is month 1 of Taiwan, so it's very exciting. The food is really good. Okay. So our most famous game is Lost Castle, which I have to do this because for some reason it doesn't like it when it's in full screen. You might have seen this game. If you haven't seen this game, don't worry, just lie to me and tell me you have seen this game, and I'll feel much better about it. Okay? So this was our breakout hit. We've sold over 1 million copies of it worldwide. Predominantly on Steam, but also through some other third-party platforms as well, and will be coming on Nintendo Switch soon. Very exciting. And some of our other titles, where's the button? And some of our other titles you may recognize. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Le Grand Legacy, Sinner Sacrifice for Redemption, Nairi's Tower of Shirin, and Lost Castle. We have other games. These are just the ones that are like our kind of most famous and ones that are coming out soon. So go on Steam, wishlist, buy. It's a good idea. It's the summer sale right now, so make some money. Make some money. Taiwan's expensive. Okay, so talking to you guys, the first thing that you're going to want to do when you are talking to a publisher is you're going to want to get your pitch sorted. So your initial introduction is really, really, really important, okay? That first contact, you all know this. You only get one first impression, right? This is a very common idea. Well, a pitch is no different. 9 times out of 10, it is your first impression. So, what I need you to do is tell me what you want, okay? What you really, really want. Maybe you're all too young for this particular meme. But, many of you are going to need or want money, okay? So you need to tell me, how much do you need? What do you need it for? and how are you going to pay it back? Because, you know, publishers are like a bank. We can happily give you money, but we need to get it back. So, how are you going to get that money back to us? Okay? And what else do you need? What else do you need us to help you out with? Because we're not just banks. Publishers are service providers. So we can do a lot of things to help you complete your game. Okay? So think about it. Before you start talking to publishers, before you start sending out emails, have a really good idea, okay? Do you need help with porting, or can you do that yourself? Do you need your game localized? Do you have somebody on your staff who speaks amazing English? Can you do simplified Chinese? Can you do German, French, all the other big languages? Do you need any assistance with development? Do you have any weak points in your development team that you need filled in? Quality assurance. How good is your QA team? As small first-time developers, your QA team is probably not that good. So that's something that you're going to want to talk to the publisher about. And international showcasing. One of the big reasons why you get a publisher is to get that international recognition, so that when people go to PAX, when they go to Gamescom, they see your games, right? So you need to have a really, really, really good idea about what you want before you even start talking to publishers, okay? Very, very, very important. The number of people that I get in my email that send me emails saying, hey, I have a cool game. Wonderful. Like, we need a lot more information than that before we can even start to make that conversation happen. So the more information you can give me, the quicker you can give it to me, the happier I am going to be. Okay? One of the first things that I tell people to do is to sort out their elevator pitch. Do you know what an elevator pitch is? An elevator pitch is a 1 or 2 sentence description of your project. And if you cannot describe your project in 1 or 2 sentences, you need to think really hard about your project. Because the more difficult it is to describe, the more difficult it is for people to get excited about. Okay? So, here's a few examples of games that we've done, that we've worked on the elevator pitch. So, Shotsfired, which is this game over here, which is a visual novel with adventure game elements, and it's all about hide and seek and murder. Okay? So, how did we describe it? So, Shotsfired is the world's first FPS, first-person assassination simulator. So, from this sentence, you know immediately that this game is funny, right? FPS. You know, anybody who's an English speaker is going to go, oh, there is humor to this game, which is a really big part of it. You know that it's a first-person game, and you know that it's got assassination as the main core mechanic. So you've actually managed to deliver an awful lot of information in 1 sentence. Yuppie Psycho, I think, is even better. A first day, first job, survival horror. Wow. What does that look like? Like, you know, you're going, oh yeah, we all know this. First day, first job, oh, scary. Survival horror. Resident Evil in an office? It makes people interested. Now, our third one is an example of a not-so-good one. So this was one from when we were just starting out, and we hadn't quite nailed it. So, join a race of sentient vegetables on their sci-fi roguelike adventure to save the world. There's too much here. It's not as snappy, it's not as quick. The idea of an elevator pitch is that if you end up in an elevator with somebody and they go, oh, what's your game? You can tell them before that elevator reaches its destination. So that's the idea, is that because sometimes when you're at these meetings, when you're going to Taipei Game Show, you will meet people for very short periods of time, and being able to express what your game is in 10 seconds is an incredibly powerful tool. So work on that. It's a really important first step. Now, the next thing is when you're sending me a pitch, okay? So we talked a little bit about this before, like what I want you guys to prepare for yourselves. Now, this is about what I want you to send to me, okay? So when you are introducing yourself, what do I want? This is the most boring slide that I have. It's very long, so bear with me. The number one thing, send me your game. Okay? You would be amazed how many people send me, hey, I have a really cool game. I need $1 million. Can I see the game? Like, it's quite important to me to make decisions, you know, and so many people don't send a build of a game. If you do not have a working, playable build of your game, you are not ready to be pitching to publishers. Unless you are Bungie. If you're Bungie, you can do whatever the hell you like. But everybody else, you've got to have something that I can play. I also want a gameplay video, because the first thing I'm going to do if there's a gameplay video in the email is I'm going to watch it, and that will help inform what I do next. So a build and a gameplay video. Another thing I want to know is who you are. Like, how many people do you have on your team? What's your past experience? Do you have any projects that I should know about? Who are you? What is your skill? Where did you go to university? Why are you making this game? All of these things are really, really, really important. And the more information I have about the team, the better. And of course, about the game. Like, what is this game about? What is special about your game? If you have a game that's a 2D platformer, you need to tell me why your 2D platformer is special, because there are many, 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 many 2D platformers. Okay? So it's all about you expressing to me as quickly as possible how much, why I should be interested in your game. Of course, what do you need? We talked about that before. Tell me in that pitch. Don't hide it and be secret. And, ooh, I need help. Ooh. We get this a lot. People being very shy about telling me what they need. Don't be shy. If you need money, tell me you need money. If you need QA, tell me you need QA. The more information I have at that first stage, the better. Explain why I should like this game. How does your game fit into my company? Show knowledge of the people that you are writing to. For example, if you're sending an email to Devolver Digital, you all know Devolver Digital, I hope. They have really good games across a wide gamut. Explain how your game fits into their catalog. Okay? And very, 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 very important. Don't copy and paste to everyone, because we all talk to each other. We all know each other. So if we all get the exact same identical copy and paste, we know about it very, very quickly. Of course, big chunks will be the same. But if it's just, dear insert publisher name here, I have game, da 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 da, we know. We can tell immediately what is happening, and it just doesn't look very professional. If you're approaching somebody asking to do business with them, you make sure that email is personal to them. It's really important. Now, here I have an example of a very, 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 very good pitch. Okay? I will give you like a copy of all this afterwards, so you don't need to panic about this. But this is a good example of a really, really, really good pitch. So you can see at the beginning, they introduce who they are, where they're from, and they also introduce how they know me. Like, hey, we saw your games at PAX East, they look cool. Maybe it's funky, but it makes me feel good. Okay? It's like, hey, I know who you are. It's good. It creates a rapport. Okay? They then have a description of the game here, which I've taken out because the game isn't finished yet, so I don't want anyone to see it just yet. And they give us all of this information that we need. We get screenshots, key art, a 90-second playable video, a playable demo, and a full playthrough video as well. So we get everything I need right there. In that one little 5 bullet points, I have everything I need to go, oh, this game is interesting, or this game is not interesting. And then they explain who they are. Hi, we are these people, we made this. Here are some past projects. Here are things that we're doing that's very special. We're working with specific people. It's a very, very, very good sound pitch. And as Vlad will tell you, this was a pitch that I went, this is interesting. I need to get the rest of the team to look at it. And that's what you want. You want somebody like, because in the end, you're talking to one person, and that one person will make a decision as to whether your game goes forward or whether it stays where it is. So you really need to impress that one person. So that's it for that section. Now, the next one is about who do you think you're talking to? So, there are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of games publishers out there. Another indie, we specifically work with PC and console games. So if you have a mobile game, we are probably not the right people to talk to. But if you approach us in the right way, like, hey, so for example, if you are working on a mobile game and you want some advice, and you send me an email saying, hi Ian, I saw you in Taipei and I have a mobile game. Would you be able to give me some advice and possibly help me get introduced to people who can help me? I'm probably going to say, yeah, sure. You came to the talk, you listened to what I said, and most importantly, you know that my company doesn't do this, but you've asked for assistance anyway. You've shown knowledge, you've shown research. I will go an extra step to help you out. If you just send me a copy and paste email saying, I have a mobile game, I'm just going to send a response saying, sorry, we don't deal with mobile games. So it's all about, like, even once you have those connections, use those connections. Even if they aren't the perfect connection, they can help you. And we'll talk more about that later. These are just a very, 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 very small smattering of publishers. 505, if you have a kind of mid-tier Sinner-style indie game, you should maybe be talking to someone like 505. If you have something bright and colourful and crazy, Devolver might be the people to talk to. If you have a mobile game that's really suitable for China, then TapTap are great people. If you have something crazy, cute and multiplayer, then TinyBuild might be the people to talk to. Every publisher has their own kind of unique brand, and that's something that you're going to want to at least have some knowledge of when you're doing the pitch. Like I said before, explain why that publisher should like your games. Now, due diligence. Do you guys know what due diligence means? Due diligence means check your shit, okay? Every time someone sends you an email, check it. Don't believe everything that you are told, especially as you are young and innocent and people will want to eat you, okay? So there are a lot of very, very, very sketchy, very dodgy publishers out there, okay? Not everyone is as nice and kind as me, okay? Many people are not. So you need to not only be checking out yourself, you need to be checking out the people who you are talking to. Okay? So who are they? Who is this publisher that's contacted you? What are their goals? What type of games are they interested in? And most importantly, why do they want your games? You know, why do they think your game fits them? It's a two-way conversation. It's not just about you trying to convince them, it's about them trying to convince you. Okay? So don't get into this power dynamic where you think you are beholden to the publisher, because that's not how it works anymore. That's how it used to work, but we're all poor now, so. So, if you are talking to a publisher and you like these guys, you think, hey, this is a good idea. This looks good. They are interested in the game. They're cool people. What do I want to do next? You want to talk to other developers who worked with them. You will learn more from other developers than you will learn from the publisher. I say that as the publisher. One of the first things I always do when we are talking to a new game is I give them the contact information of other games that have worked with us. And not just Lost Castle. Because obviously Lost Castle sold 1 million copies. They fucking love us. You know, they're like 1 million copies. Yeah, that's a lot of money. So they have a very positive experience. We have other games that have sold well, but not as well. And we have some games that haven't sold that well. And those people you need to speak to too. You need to make sure that the people that you're speaking to are not just funky. You need to make sure they're not bullshitting you. And the only people who can tell you for sure are people that they have worked with in the past. Another thing you need to know is who is your point of contact at this company, okay? You need one person who is the person that you will talk to, okay? So whether it's me, whether it's Vlad, whether it's Dawn, whether it's Frank, somebody needs to be your point of contact. So when you have a problem with your game, you contact that person. You do not want to be emailing info@anotherindie.com. You want to be emailing Ian@anotherindie.com. You do not want a generic contact, okay? Because having that personal connection is really, 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 really important. And if something seems wrong, if you are talking to a publisher and there's something not right about it, something is probably wrong. Trust your gut. If you are talking to people and everything they say sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So don't believe the hype. And follows on very nicely, the hype is too damn high. So it is 2018 now, and 2018, the games industry is brutal. It is a battle royale out there for video games. And anybody who tells you differently is not telling you the truth. Base your research. So when you are looking at your game and you are figuring out how many copies will my game sell, you need to be looking at very, very recent examples. I have so many people who send me a pitch for video games and they say, my video game will sell 300,000 copies in the first month. And I say, wow. How do you know that? Well, I did research on a game that came out in 2012. And in 2012, this game said yes, because in 2012, there were only 2 games a day on Steam. Now, there are 30 to 50 games a day on Steam. It's a lot more difficult to sell copies of your game in 2018 than it was in 2012. And you need to be aware of that. When you are researching, you need to be using recent, modern examples. Do not fall into the trap of looking at other people's 10-year-old successes, because it's not the same industry anymore. When you're looking at those numbers as well, make sure, because here's a problem. We all use Steam Spy or some equivalent, App Annie, etc., etc. When you are using things like Steam Spy, you have to be careful, because Steam Spy does not do a good job of differentiating games that were sold at 100% price and games that were sold at 90% price, or games that were sold in bundles. So you can have very, very high numbers, but actually the game says, oh, this game sold for $30. You go, oh, $30, 300,000 copies. Nice, good money, yeah. But then you look into it, and actually all of these 250,000 copies of this game were sold at 95% discount. And suddenly, it's not quite as exciting. And this is really, really common in the industry today. So make sure you're being very, very, very careful. And all the tools that you need to check this exist. But you have to do your research. Anybody who promises you success, if they say, no problem, your game's going to make $1 billion, they are lying. They are lying, because there is no guarantee success anymore. The only way that your game is guaranteed to make $1 billion is if the publisher will give you $1 billion. And if the publisher offers you $1 billion, you say, yes. Absolutely. But that is literally the only way that is guaranteed to happen, and you need to be aware of that. Because I have been in this situation before, and I have spoken to indie developers who were told lies. And they end up signing a contract, believing what they've been told, and they end up losing out. The publisher does not, but they end up losing out, okay? So it's really important to check that stuff. Always listen to a publisher's research. It's what we're good at. But always check it. Always make sure, like, okay, does this make sense? Can I prove that this is true? Not just believe that what they said is true, but prove that it is true. And if they predict that your game sales are really high, ask them, why do you think this? Don't get excited because somebody says, I've been there, I was young once, it was a long time ago. It's very easy to get excited when people say, I love your game, it's going to make $1 million. But you need to find out, why do they think your game will make $1 million? What is making them excited about this title? Really, really important. And for you guys, just generally, be realistic, be optimistic, but be cautious. Don't get too excited. Don't spend 5 years making your first game. Don't fall into traps that have been well documented in the industry before. Okay? And here is the best way to avoid doing that. Reach out to the community. The gaming community is not that big. You know, there are maybe 10,000 active people in the gaming community who are active, you know, who are selling products, who are out there, who have first-hand experience selling games. It's not that difficult to have international knowledge from these people. And most of them are very, 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 very willing to share. Okay? So make friends. I tell this to everybody, get on Twitter. Now I know in Taiwan, Twitter is not very big. I know this. But internationally, Twitter is the game dev chat. Like, it's how game developers talk to each other. It's how they share their latest news. It's how they share the things that went well, the things that went bad. And following the right people and talking to the right people on that platform is incredibly useful. We have signed games because of Twitter. And we have found opportunities for hundreds of thousands of US dollars because of Twitter. Because that's where people are talking about what they are doing, and that's the most valuable thing that you can have. So if you do not have a Twitter account, and you want to make and sell games, you should have a Twitter account. And you should be networking, you should be sharing what you are doing, you should be chatting, all of this stuff. Facebook, very useful. Twitter is currently king. Okay? Now, the art of not getting fucked. So, how to enter the games industry, how to deal with publishers, and how to not end up feeling very sad at the end of it. This is my longest and most boring slide. So, everything comes down to contracts. Yay, contracts. Woo. I spend about half my life writing contracts. It's great fun. There is, I'll tell you this right now, there is no such thing as a perfect deal. You're never going to look at a contract and go, wow, perfect. Because it's always a compromise. There's always two parties involved in a contract, so there's always going to be give and take. But there are still some things that you should be looking at. You should, as developers, you should be looking at minimum guarantees and recoup percentages immediately. These two things at the top, if you don't know what they mean, look into them, because they will be very important to your future. A minimum guarantee is when the publisher says, I guarantee that your game will sell X amount, therefore here's the money now. It's a good one. We like minimum guarantees. Minimum guarantees are good. It's money. Recoup percentages are what the publisher brings back. So for example, if I say, I will spend $10,000 on marketing your game, okay? When I recoup, that means I take that money back before you get your money. So if your game only makes $10,000, you don't make any money. So you need to look into that, and you need to make sure that what's being presented to you makes sense, and that you're confident that you're going to make money. Because at the end of the day, if you don't make money, you don't make any more games. And that's sad for everybody. Nothing should be in the contract that isn't relevant to you. Now, most contracts are copy-paste. You know, you have 1,000 contracts, so you copy-paste and then you fiddle with them, you fix them for the individuals. But that does mean that sometimes you end up with things in contracts that don't necessarily apply to you. Things about, for example, you're making a single-player game, but inside the contract it has things about multiplayer. You want to make sure that you get all of that shit out. Anything that's not appropriate to your game should not be in the contract, because this just leads to problems in the future, especially when you're rolling over or if you're bringing in new games from the IP. You need to make sure that the contract is your contract. There's nothing extra in there. Sorry, this is really boring. I am aware. I'm really sorry. And protect your rights, okay? You are the game developer, so you need to figure out what you want to keep. Many publishers will want your game's IP, or at least a percentage of your game's IP. So what this means is, if you make Super Mario the next one, it doesn't matter if you go with a different publisher for Super Mario 2, the original publisher still owns a percentage of it. So if you get a good deal, this isn't a bad thing. But if you get an okay deal, where you sign away your entire IP, holy shit. You know, that can be a really damaging, painful thing. You also want to make sure who can organize bundles and who can organize discounts, because there are thousands of horror stories out there of your game, it's a good game, it sells for $10, but in the first month it doesn't sell enough copies. So your publisher panics and he starts selling your game for $1. So suddenly, instead of getting 70% of $9, you're getting 70% of $1. You're getting 70 cents per game, not including tax. It gets very low very quick. And this happens a lot. There are so many horror stories of publishers doing this, of publishers having the right to just slash the value of a game and sell as many copies as possible, as quickly as possible. Basically, dumping and running. You need to make sure that that doesn't happen, because that's not fun for anybody. Be realistic about your expectations within the contract. If you are expecting huge amounts of money, a large MG, be expecting to give things away. If you are not expecting that, then you should be haggling hard and making sure that you get the best deal possible. And the final one is get the contract checked by a lawyer. It's expensive. Lawyers aren't cheap and nobody likes them. But understanding contracts is hard and it's really easy to make a mistake. I say this as someone who has made mistakes. So get a lawyer to check your contracts. Okay? Okay? And take your time. When somebody presents you with a contract, you don't have to sign it that day. You should say, I need to take at least a week to look at this, to think about this, to turn it over in your head, because once that contract is signed, it's done. There's no going back. That's the point of a contract. So take your time, don't get too excited. Do what you got to do. And this is the most important thing about working with a publisher. Do you trust them? Do you trust these people? And if the answer is even a little bit no, if it's even a little bit mama hoo hoo, then don't do it. Because a publishing deal is the beginning of a relationship that will last for years. We are still dealing with all of our games for the last 4 years. That's longer than any of my relationships. Like, there are marriages that don't last that long. So you need to make sure that you like these people, that you can deal with these people for 4 years at least of your life. And I mean talking with them every other day, calling them once a week. You will talk to your publisher more than you talk to your mother. Okay? So be ready for that. Make sure that you can deal with that. Because if you can't, then these are not the people that you need to be talking to. It's as simple as that. And now is just time for some opinions, my steaming hot takes. That's all the important stuff finished, so we can relax a little bit now. So, you guys are mostly young. Finish your game. Whatever it is you are working on, whatever idea you have, finish it. Because your first game is not going to make you all the money in the world. Do not think, I have the most amazing idea for a game. It will take me so long to develop, but it will be, it won't work. You need the experience. You need to learn. You need to be in the industry. You need to figure out how to do... You need to figure out how to do things like budget. And the only way you figure that stuff out is by doing it. So set a reasonable goal. I will make my first game in 6 months. And then it doesn't matter if you make a lot of money off it, because once you have a game and it's out there, you're a developer. I can Google your name and I can find your game. And that's important. As young people coming into the games industry, the most important thing that you can have is a believable resume, is experience and proof of that experience. So being able to say, look, here's a game, it's cool, right? Is the first step. A great example of this was I was speaking to a guy at GDC just last year. He had this really cool Smash Bros style game, but it was about fish in a fish tank. So there were 2 fish fighting each other and they had to knock each other out of the tank. Super cool little game, really nice. And he was like, I don't know what to do with it, because it's not good enough to be like a big game, but it's done. You know what I mean? Like I could spend another year on it and make it and give 20 fish and 1,000 bowls and, you know, do all sorts of cool stuff. And I said, don't do that. It's cool, it's fun. Stick it up on itch.io tomorrow, charge $1 for it, and start your next thing. And he ended up getting a job because somebody saw his game and said, that's a cool game. This guy understands fighting mechanics. I'm making a fighting game. He's young. He's cheap. Off he went. And that's what you need to be doing. You need to be thinking very, very, very economically, because trying to do your biggest game in your first few years is the most lethal thing you can do. And I know so many developers who are no longer developers because this is what they did. They spend 3 years trying to create this idea of a game that's just beyond them right now. It comes out, it's not good, or worst of all, it never comes out. And so don't do it. Make your game, finish your game. It's never too early to start self-promotion. So by self-promotion, what I mean is promoting yourself. Showing the cool things that you've done. If you're a university student and you made university projects that you can put up on itch.io for free, do it. Get yourself out there, get information about yourself out there, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, get on Reset Era, get on every gaming forum you can get your little hands on, and just talk about what it is you're doing. Because that's how it works these days. If you are not actively self-promoting, there is 20 other people who are. And they will get your job. So, get out there, show people what you're doing, because we want to see it. And join every event you can. Things like this are so important, because you don't know who's going to be there. This week you are very unlucky because it's me, and I'm not very important, but you don't know who's going to come. The game development community moves around a lot. So you will find people come from China to Taipei on holiday, and they go, oh, there's a meeting at the IGDA, I'll go and attend things like that. These things are super important because you don't know who you're going to meet, and everybody is somebody. Like, somebody that you meet here today, they might be the head of EA in 20 years' time. And then you get to go, hey, remember that time we were at IGDA? Wow, we listened to that crazy foreigner? Yeah, it was good, yeah? Got a job. It's all super important. So that's my hot takes. Now, I'm going to open it up to you guys and let you know if you have any questions. If you have questions and you don't want to put your hand up or you're shy, don't be shy. But if you are shy, You can tweet me, Twitter, or you can email me, old school. Okay? So does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. Okay, so you guys are based in Taiwan now, right? So if we, as developers, if we're making contract with you guys, a very simple and silly question is, will it be Mandarin contract or English contract?
We do both. So
Okay.
I will say this, because our company was based in China for so long, our
Right.
contracts are in simplified Chinese, not traditional Chinese, but that's
Okay.
something that we're looking into.
Okay.
Yeah, what we generally do is we have a Chinese and an English version, and they are both identical, and they cannot be changed without linking the other. That's a point in the contract. So we have to have both, because, for example, another indie, we also operate an Irish office,
Right.
which allows us to do a lot of good things with Steam that helps everybody out. So we have to have English but we always try to make sure that whatever language we're dealing is catered to.
Right. Okay. Thanks. And so for the contract will be like say the legal stuff, like let's say just legal shit. Is it like apply for like Taiwanese law or Irish law or Chinese, like mainland China law?
Well, for now it's in China, and China, Hong Kong, and Ireland is what we have the contract set up for. If you guys needed, or were really like, we need this set up for Taiwanese law for the company purposes, then we would do that as well.
Okay.
Like, you know, we would find a lawyer and we would make that happen. And you should make that happen. Like, if that's something that you need, because different countries are different. Like, a lot of countries just obey US law, because that's where most of the money comes from anyway.
Right.
But if for some specific reason you guys need it to obey Taiwanese law, then you do that. Like, you tell them, no, I need this in Taiwanese, I need this vetted by a Taiwanese lawyer. You do that. You cover your ass.
Thank you.
No problem.
还有其他问题吗？
Hello, I'm CJ.
Hi, CJ.
Just a question of curiosity. So does the number of the developers in the development team affect your evaluation?
It definitely does, because, for example, if somebody turns around to me and says, I have 20 developers and I need $10,000 US, I go, that doesn't make sense. Like, $10,000 doesn't pay 20 developers. So a lot of times it factors into the math. Like, for the game, not so much. Like, our most popular game was developed by a team of 4 people at the beginning. They've now done well, so they've moved on, and they've now done, and one of our, I don't want to say least popular, because it's a very good game, but one of our not so well performing games had a team of 15 plus. So actually, in terms of like how well a game does, the number of developers doesn't matter. It's all about the actual game, and it's all about the audience.
So it's just a matter of math.
Just a matter of math, figuring out the math.
有其他问题吗？
Throw it.
哦，传一下麦克风。
So I have a question about your, when a developer is approaching a publisher, we should look for the, like what the publisher, one of the numbers, what the how much a publisher needs to recoup, right? Have you ever had a developer like sort of calculate that for you in a sense, and like how would you feel if they approach you and say, hey, we sort of like have to calculate that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so what we do is like we draft the first contract, because that's kind of the publisher's job. So we draft the first contract based on our knowledge and our research, and then they will come back to us saying, okay, this is good. However, this one we think we need to talk about this one, and that's totally normal. So I always advise everybody to put as much research into that contract and into those recoup numbers as we do. Because if we have made a mistake, then I want to know about it. And if you guys think something's too high or too low, I also want to know about it. I can't guarantee I'm going to agree with you, but at least want to know about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
还有问题吗？有没有其他朋友想要 问问题。今天艺人讲了蛮多这个很实际的细节，然后很多我觉得实用知识。那不知道大家有没有就是可能觉得前面有听不懂的地方，或是你要再了解的地方？
我再问一个好。
好
Sorry, so many questions.
Go for it.
For the publishers, like normally publishers, making the marketing strategies, right? And like from your experience, because we all know games life, right? Like once they're on the shelf, on the store, the selling will be like a big wave like tsunami and then drop down very quick, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and how do you like for newly coming games, like did you guys have like a standard selling period, or like how long you're gonna promote it, and like something like that?
It depends on the game, and it depends on that initial success. You are correct. So we will always promote a game throughout the first year of its launch, like always. So even games that don't do as well as we would like for that first year, they always are with us at PAX, and they always are with us when we are doing international promotions. But you are correct in saying, like, if a game really does just hit that wall, then we do have to move on, and we encourage the developers to do the same.
Right. But what happened if, say, I'm a developer, right? And I was putting like my 3-4 year time in this game, and I felt disappointed with the selling, and I was like starting bothering you guys, like, hey, it's 3 months, and should we do something? Are you guys gonna do something for our game? Save my game.
Yeah. So that's what we do. So we have had games that haven't done as well as we wanted, and what we do is we scale down, and then we start talking about, okay, milestones. So in order to promote a game, you need to have something to promote, right? So what are we gonna do? So what can you give me that I can promote? And we do it like that. So we do updates, we do DLC, we do whatever we can do that's manageable by both parties. And generally, as a rule, we do see those returns start to go up, or at least even out. One thing that we are good at is we're very good at community building, because my anime friend here is really good at community building. And so what we generally have is on the launch of a game, we generally have a pretty passionate fan base, which ensures a certain level of sales at that first opening, but then those people will help you sell the game. They will tell their friends, they will evangelize for you. And that's really, really important. And our Discord channel is amazing. Like, we have amazing people in there who are so passionate, not just about our games, but about gaming in general. And like, those places are so important. So that's one thing that you can always be doing, is building that community. So one game that we had, that we launched, was a JRPG, and it's very, very big. It was a long time in development, and the sales were not as high as we had hoped. They were not so low that it killed everybody, but they were not as high as we'd hoped. So what we did is we got all of the feedback, we got all of the information from the users, and we've now started the process of updating the game to fix those problems. So initially it was like quite small issues, like things like people wanted an autosave. Done. That was a quick, easy fix. People wanted the opening area to be a little bit less intense. Done. Easy. But one of the big problems that we had was that people really, really hated one of the characters. Like, they fucking hated her. Like, every negative review was like, I like the game, but fuck this character. And so we ended up, it was also Vlad's favourite character. So what we've done now is we've actually embarked on a mission where we've started to rewrite that character. And that's a really big task in a JRPG. Like, there's a fucking lot of words. So we have to rewrite that character, then also rewrite the things around that character so that it makes sense. And that's been really tricky. But we just announced that earlier this week. And our reviews are going just because a lot of negative attention that we got from the community, we're then messaging all those people saying, hey, we listened to what you said, here's our update, please let us know what you think, did we make it better? And then those negatives turn to positives. And as those positives go up, and with the Steam Summer Sale being on right now, shit gets easier. So there is always a way to do it. It does depend on your publisher as well. It depends on you guys. Because one thing I do always say is that if you are a smaller indie game, you probably want to find a smaller indie publisher, because going with a big boy means that if your game doesn't have that initial success, you just get pushed to the side and then move on with the next title. Whereas with us, because we don't have the capacity for so many games, we have to make those games make money. Like, because if we have one game that loses a shitload of money, that really hurts us. Whereas if EA has a game that loses a shitload of money, they go, haha, Battlefront. so yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So can I follow up on that question actually? Like, because you mentioned like how many games you can do at once, like your capacity of publishing games and promoting games. So like, what's like your capacity right now?
So we're actively working. So what we want to do right now is we want to sign maybe 2 or 3 more games for next year, because by at this year point we then start going to legacy stuff. So we're no longer updating like several of our games. We continue to promote them during sales, bundles, things like that, and get as much money as we can out of it for the developers. But we're no longer actively updating those games. We've got 2 games that are about to kind of hit that point now. So we're looking to replace those games. So yeah, I think we're probably never going to be working on any more than 10 projects simultaneously, and active projects probably only around 5 or 6.
还有其他问题吗？
还有
机会宝贵。
You
You know who's doing the business here? No, right?
Sorry.
No, keep going, keep going, keep
Just
going.
initially, how long is the term for the contract in another indie?
So we
Default,
open
like
at 3 years.
3 years.
3 years is what we open at. On some we've gone longer, and on some we've gone shorter, depending on the game and depending on the requirements. But yeah, 3 years is our opening. And then it depends. Like, I mean, obviously, if you wish to continue us to promote the game after that time, then we would do that. But we're very, very flexible. We haven't hit that point of any of their games yet, because the only game that came close was continuing to update, and they're continuing to work with us.
还有问题吗？
Man, you guys should have sat next to each other.
Why don't you come forward? Come to the front.
What's your opinion on
Here's a seat.
game competitions and game exhibitions?
Okay, it's complicated. So, if you are relying on a game exhibition to sell more copies of your game, and that is why you are doing it, then that is a bad idea. Because from what we have gathered, going to game exhibitions does not actively sell games. But there is nowhere else where you will meet fellow developers, and where you will get the level of feedback, and where you will get the level of networking done, and engage in that camaraderie that's so important as you do at conventions. So I always advise developers, if they can, to do them. I mean, you guys have Taipei Game Show in Taipei, which is growing and is cool, and I've been to, and I like it. You should go to that. If you're in Taipei and you are not going to Taipei Game Show, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, why are you not going to Taipei Game Show? Because it's there. You can throw a stone and hit it. And that's really important. Like, when you have these things there for you, where international people are coming from around the world to show their stuff, to talk, to hang out. And here's the other thing that I say as well, you don't necessarily have to showcase at these events. So my first year doing this job, I didn't actually showcase any of our games. What I did is I called up all of my friends and I said, hey, I need to go to these places and see if they're worth going to. I'll help you guys out. So I actually worked on other people's booths, selling and promoting other games, and I figured out how it was working, who was doing what, and how that was happening. You know, I got a free hotel, and I had to pay for my own flights, but it wasn't that much. And there's a lot of people in the games industry that will be more than happy to help out people who want to go to these events and check them out, because they are important. But probably, in my opinion, what's more important is going to the bar afterwards, or going to the coffee shop, or going to the restaurant, because that's where you meet people, that's where you talk to people, that's where you share ideas, and that's where things start happening. There was another thing. Game competitions, right?
Yeah.
Game competitions are cool, providing you're not spending money on them. There's a lot of competitions now that are asking for like $100 to get into the competition, or $200 even to get into a competition. Fuck that. Like, if you have a publisher, make your publisher pay for that shit. That's what we do. But if you're doing it as like a solo developer, like, there's been an awful lot of people taking money and not doing their jobs with regards to that stuff. So I would be very, very, very careful about whenever you're paying. There's some that are okay, like for example the Mix. I believe they're $25 a game or $50 a game, but then you buy into every competition for the whole year. So actually they've got 4 competitions a year and you're only paying like $50. That's fine. Indie Mega Booth, the entrance fee is also, it carries over, so I think it's $100, but then it's for all of the Indie Mega Booths for that year. That's also fine. But there's some other ones that are crazy expensive, and I don't see the point. Doesn't sell games. All you need to do if you want to know this is look at Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. That game's amazing. It won every competition, and it came out and nobody bought it. Sold like 3,000 copies. I believe it's doing better now, but winning competitions does not equate sales, and you need to be aware of that, because if you're going in there expecting it to do well because of it, it'll hurt.
Thank you, that was helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
关于就是独立游戏竞赛的部分，我稍微补充一下，因为刚好我们基金会其实是有做那个独立游戏竞赛的补助。对，那像刚刚提到有一些比赛，其实他们是因为参赛的件数实在太多，所以他们还是会收一定程度的手续费。那个手续费可能，譬如说是50块美金或100块美金。那我们基金会这边其实是有挑其中几个我们自己评价觉得比较值得信赖的，就是独立游戏竞赛，然后我们已经 cover 好几年了。那这些通常都是比较有前瞻性的，或是说比较有机会到那种就是跟欧美独立游戏接触比较深入的，譬如说像 IGF 相关的，或是 IndieK 的这些竞赛。那你去那边主要的目的其实并不是，就如果你真的入围的话，你的目的主要并不是说因为这个东西可以让你多赚多少钱，而是你如果入围的话，你可以算是打进一个跟你平常不一样的圈子里面，因为他们那些平常有入围有得奖那一挂的，其实在欧美或者全球是有一个圈子在的。那你能够被这个圈子认可，然后你能够被这个圈子他们所就是接触的受众认可，那其实那也算是一种品牌的保证。那包括之前像 Steam， 他们在 Greenlight 还没出来之前，他们其实就是靠，譬如说，你如果 IndieK 入围，他们可以直接让你上架，或者是 IGF 入围，他们可以直接让你上架，还是其实是有一些认证效果在。当然这些效果其实最近几年我是觉得是有下降，但是我觉得就是这个机会，我们基金会这边的这个赞助还是一直有保持。那包括像之前我们也赞助过赤足到 IndieK 的，然后像去年我们有赞助了台湾4个团队去上海的 IndiePlay， 就是只要他们有入围，那我们这边其实就会提供就是相关的费用、行程补助这样子。那如果你真的有投稿费用的困难的话，其实我们也还是有办法提供，就是投稿费用的补助，就是可能就是那种3000块台币、2000块台币之类的，就这种补助我们也是有提供过。那相关的资料可以上就是幼生研究基金会的网站可以看，就是有一个国际游戏竞赛的一个就是补助办法。对。Does that make any sense to you?
No, sorry. I was trying to follow for the first 30 seconds, then I just went, no.
Yeah, basically we do sponsor or scholarship to some of the indie competitions like IGF and IndieK.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that for this is like 7th year, the 8th year. Yeah, we've been doing like so every year there's like a few teams that get recognized and get finalist or nominated by some competition, and we'll just you guys are good, and we just send you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. Come to things like this, they help.
对，那还有最后还有人有其他问题吗？现在时间剩不多了。
I like your T-shirt.
Thank you. 我英文不好，我讲中文。
可以，我们都可以帮忙翻译。
那我再问一个很不好意思的问题。我个人在做 18禁的情色游戏，想问对18禁的情色游戏有什么看法
Do you do R18 stuff? Rated 18 stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, like I personally, I have absolutely no problem doing anything. Like I'm murdering, killing, sex, anything. I don't give a damn. What I need to do is be able to prove that people will buy it and that people want to buy it. I have absolutely no problems with discussing any type of game. And I don't think that, even if I can't help you out with something, if I think the project is cool, I can put you in touch with people who can help you out with something. So, you know, if you're working on something ultra violent or ultra sexy, fucking do it. You do you, man. Like, don't be afraid of like being creative and making what you want to make.
Thank you.
No problem. 听得懂吗？
好，那因为就是我们休息时间就是差不多了，那已经就是这个 session 已经进行了快1个小时，那我想最后给个热烈掌声。
Thank you very much.